Welcome to Trading Lounge and the Indices. Just before we start, I just want to touch on two topics. I encourage people to join the chat group here, the chat module. You need to create your own username and password to get into this within the website. So your normal login to Trading Lounge won't get you in here. You need to create your own. I know some folks are having a bit of difficulty, and I am sort of working on that. But I do encourage you, if you can, to join, to access this, because there's a lot of intraday updates here that for different markets, and you can also add charts and communicate to others in public or private, and talk to, we've got 7 analysts now, so you can talk to them, and we'll always do our best to help. So yeah, it's a valuable tool. So if you can do that, that would be great. And the other thing that I just wanted to chat about briefly was our charting program, the Elliott Wave program. So there's a couple of things here. You can do your own labeling for Elliott Wave, so all the labeling is here for this. So that's on these two here, motive waves and corrective waves and so on at this particular point. You can also use the Algo rhythm here as well. So this is the S&P, so we can put this on this low here and give it a click. You can do your adjusting here if you would like. So it's labeling it here in this case. You can adjust the labeling in here as well. You can also right click on here. You can decompose these particular structures. You can do, if I go to this one here, perhaps if I wanted to have a look at how far wave 2 would pull back in terms of, well, time analysis, also ratio as well. So if I was looking for the top of wave 3, I can put that in there, and all the rest of them here. There's all sorts of great analysis in here, but this is the Elliott Wave algorithm here, so it's doing the counting for you, and you can decompose the structures. So I could decompose how it got wave 1 and those sorts of things, and do projections into the future. And so that's an algorithm. When we come to the the AI side of things here, then I can just trying to grab that here. I've got all this sort of squashed up. I'll just push that in at the moment. Here we go here. So basically, I don't know why it's done that here, but why that's locked up there. If I clear that, maybe because I had it squashed up to begin with. Okay, that's a bit better. So here it's got the AI chat here, so it's just got the S&P here. So I can send this here. So it's sent it here. It's looking at this data here. So this is AI talking now. Okay, so we've got about 3 AIs that come in, and 3 different AIs and RAGs to come in and help with this. So it'll give you the current count and all those sorts of things, and then you can talk to it here. I don't know, should I buy now or something, whatever, yada yada yada, and you can communicate with it in that particular, on an intraday. You can ask it questions, that type of thing. So I'll leave that just to sort of let you know what we're sort of working on. It's becoming one of the best Elliott Wave programs on the market. It's free for it's included in the membership, so it's all sort of free there. You've also got the trading levels up here, so you can do all your adjustments and styles and all the rest of it for the trading levels here, because you can see the S&P is in group 2 here. That sort of thing. So anyway, there's a lot of other functionality here. We're working on it full time. Joel is doing an amazing job. He's our senior level engineer on this program. Okay, so what I want to talk about here is the S&P for the indices. I'm going to get my head back into this thing here. So basically, I know there's issues with this current situation here, right? there's actually a fair bit of volume that's come into this. It's sort of lower volume, but it's actually, in a way, it's actually more volume than this particular trend here. But I won't go into that at the moment. So we are looking at other wave counts for this particular move up here. Okay, now the thing is that I like, luck is preparation, opportunity meeting, as they say, and I can smell something's not quite right in paradise here in terms of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Now, there's nothing wrong with that particular count. It hasn't broken down and it hasn't proved wrong. I always stay, we're emotional human beings, and we're the ones in the market, and so the market is emotional. We're emotional in the market. So I don't like to try. I try not to get emotional about sort of things. So I don't like to change my count. Unless I got the evidence to do that. But at the same time, I like to explore other counts, and I like to ask the community to come in. Our members, we've got some fantastic Elliott Wave people with us, and they're putting in their information now. And I think everybody's 2 bobs worth into the market at all times is healthy. It's not like it's not like you're right all the time or I'm right all the time, but as a group we can kind of chat about things and be aware of things. So I'm going to stay with this particular count that I've got here, but at the same time we're looking at other counts because it's not there could be something wrong with this particular move. So but while we've got it here, we've got 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5. So between 2 and 3, we're looking for 5 waves. So if I go to 1 day in here, this would be the count here where we have wave 1 and 2 here at 1 and 2. We can put wave 2 here. Wave 2 could also pull back down here. We'll need to talk about that. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And then going up for 3, 4, 5, that type of thing here for this. And so that count, there's nothing wrong with this. It hasn't broken down, right? At what point would it break down? Well, we'd need to see a sort of a reasonable impulse wave, a change in direction on this here. So with this here, we've been working on it on the 20-day, on the 20,000 tick here. So we've got 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here. And in this case, what we can have here, just by the by, we'll talk about this in a bit more detail later, we can have it in here finish. We can put an ABC pattern in here for wave 2 here. There are some markets on the tech side that we can count quite clearly down here as 5 waves. Now, I could get 5 waves out of this as well here in terms of 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 here. I could do that. We just got to be a little bit careful that that we're not going to get something a little bit more sort of expansive, so up to the 50, 60%, 61.8% or whatever, and then here, and then moving up at that point. It's either that or we move straight up from that point. Anyway, this is the 1 and 2, and we'll drill into this area here in a moment, okay? So we've got this one here, and we want to have a look at the other count that we're working on that we've talked about early this week and a few times this week. So that would be looking at this in a bit of a different way here. So this would be the wave 4 here. So normally we had wave 1 here. So we're looking at a diagonal here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here coming up, and then a sharp drop here. Now, obviously, we've got, World War III sort of starting, unfortunately. But this particular pattern here would suit stocks. Like some stocks have really have got quite a long move up here, right? One of them, I guess we could look at would be Facebook here. So this would be META here. So wave 4 here with 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 up here, right? So that's how that would sort of play out here. Now, so that's good. So some stocks have taken out the top here. So some stocks haven't even taken out the top here. So there's a normally with the stock market or with the big tech stocks, they kind of all sort of merge together and off they go. But at the moment we've got different patterns, so it's a bit fragmented, and that's sort of showing up in the indices. So we've got this pattern. The other pattern that we can look at that's coming in is this one here. So this is having wave 3 over here with an A wave here, an A, B, and C for the B wave. This can also go up here, one more move up here and have this here. There are stocks like Microsoft, so we bring Microsoft across here. We can see wave 3 top here. We could look at, as this is an A wave here, a B wave here, and a C wave down here, and bring wave 4 across here. That looks quite good, doesn't it, you know? So that's what some folks would be looking at, and you know, that's good. We've had 3-4 members, you know, tag in on this particular account, and that's their preference on this. The other way, you know, going back to the other count here, putting this here, I'll just push this out of the way here for a moment, would be looking at this as 1 and 2. So this will be, I know this looks a little bit weird, but this would be the same sort of pattern, looking at a diagonal here as well. So basically finding some sort of support. This should be nearly finished here as a little A, B, and C here, and then moving up here, and then having a 1 and 2 here for this to play. It'd be coming in a bit deeper here, under here for this wave 2 here. So we've got this sort of pattern here. So I'm showing you Microsoft and Meta, because Meta has taken out the top here. So we've got basically 2 patterns in the market that are dictating what's sort of going on with indices, and then of course with the S&P we've got the banks and those sorts of things. So it's not you know, it's not impossible to have this count based on and Bitcoin is also the same too. So Bitcoin could make a new low back down to 50,000 as well, based on this particular count. So yeah, so that's that count, and this count here where we have 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here, and going up for 3. So that's what we're up against at the moment, and yeah, so we can apply this to pretty much most of the indices, these particular counts, and stock as well. So I just want to go into the intraday here in this little area and focus on this point here. So we can see here that if I look at this, now obviously we've got some different counts, so we could look at this as wave 1 up here and wave 2 here. Wave 2 could also come down here lower as well. So at this case here, it's a bit difficult to count this as an impulse wave down here. So we could look at it as an A, B, C for the A wave, the B wave, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. We could also look at it as 1 here, an A and a B and a C for wave 2 here, and then 3, 4, 5. So we can get 5 waves out of it. So we do need to be a little bit careful that, copy this here, that this little grayed out area here is the 61.8%. So we can have a B wave here, and we can have a C wave coming down over here for this wave 2. And depending on how far it comes down, we could bring wave 4 across here as well, depending, because it's not quite at its 38.2%. Now, if you're going to trade long, we could look at this as an impulse wave. It may be an A wave, it may be wave 1, so 1 and 2. If you're going to trade long, you need to keep your stop under here. That's why that's here. I suggested that you know, you could get in anywhere here, but the other safer way here, because this is the 61.8%, and it's on, if you know the trading levels, we've got 57 here, it's the closest largest number. Then we've got 1, 2, and 3 here, 10, 20, and 30, which is group 1. So normally when we get support, or if we can get support on top of group 1 here, then we'll end up pushing to the upside here. So this little line across the top here is, I'll just put a green line there. You could go long at that point here. I wouldn't overdo it. I would look to sort of add up here on that one as well. But getting a tested support on top of group 1 there would be the step forward, and you know, the basic routine and pattern to go there. This is the classic trading levels pattern. So if this is the 30 here, then you'll need the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level. If you're patient and you wait for this to play out here, you know, you'll feel more in control of what you're doing, you know. Yeah, because, you know, at the moment, if the only thing you can control really is how much you lose. Waiting for that little classic trading levels pattern there is good. So anyway, that's the pattern. This moved quite high here, so we can look at this. The NASDAQ was a little bit lower. When you look at markets like Bitcoin, then, just to give you an example, because I could treat it like a tech stock, this move down here, if I bring that into 5K here, I think it is, or 1K or whatever, it does count down quite nicely as 5 waves here, so does Nvidia and some other stocks, you know what I mean? We've got this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, so we'll get an ABC and back again. So there are not just Bitcoin, maybe I shouldn't have used that because I know it doesn't sort of resonate with everybody, but there are other stocks that have 5 waves down. So we do need to be careful about this rally here. We had the we got the non-farm payrolls on the Friday, so the ADP figures last night were up, so we could expect the non-farm payrolls up from the 144 upwards at that point. Is that supportive for the economy? Is that what they wanted? Don't know. Will that change impact on, you know, decisions on interest rates? Don't know. Not my field, but those ADP figures will lead into those non-farm payrolls. They're really the only sort of things that are ahead of us at the moment. So the NASDAQ is the same. This is a weekly chart here. The NASDAQ hasn't taken out the top here like the S&P has, and it's left 3 waves here. So it does make a case where we could have an ABC pattern here, and coming down here, like I suggested with Microsoft. So bringing Microsoft here as an ABC pattern here and rolling over, falling out of bed and bringing wave 4 over here, you know, or down here, whatever. But, you know, we're already at the 38 point here. So anyway, we'll see. You know, wave 4s can get rather complicated, as you know, if you've been around the block a little bit. So yeah, I mean, we've always known the 20,000, you know, is a brick wall. It's a big number with lots of zeros on it. So we know that this market's not going anywhere, but in a way it has the arrival here, the reaction here. We just don't know if the reaction is over at this particular point, you know. That's the issue. But we're still missing the first high above the level and then the ABC correction. Do you know what I mean? That's the normal pattern that we would see at markets here. So this is this pattern. We've got you know, we've had this here, this, and we need, you know, this here eventually, but we haven't breached this top here. We're in here at the moment, you know. That's where we are. So do we push up there? Do we come back? And this is the, you know, the standard sort of long term. This particular pattern here is a fractal pattern. So it could be taken over years. It could be taken over minutes. It's good to understand it because it's just very helpful as support and resistance, you know. So yeah, so that's where that goes. So we've got let me just go to the, I don't know what I've done on the daily here. We've got, so this would be the same as the S&P here with 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here. Looking, we could put wave 2 here, we could put it over here a little bit. Anyway, we don't go buying this until we've got that as support, and it's not support yet. If it's going to fail, that's the number that's going to fail at, okay? So we're not there yet on that. We've got different counts. So we've had this particular count here, as I should have gone to this one here first. So just bear with me here. We'll look at the different one. So we've been looking at this all week here, where we've had this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and pushing up here for one more move here. This wave 4 may get a bit more complicated. It just could push up from here. There's a good chance for both of those. But like I said, I don't think it's the best trade out there because of the 20,000 here is in the way. So as a leading diagonal here, as a diagonal here. So yeah, so that's that. So that pattern, and then we've also got. I know this is confusing, and I apologise about that, but it, you know, we just got to kind of move through things. So this particular top here can be wave 1 or wave 3, and this could be wave 4 or wave 2 over here. The wave 4 business here, it could still come down a bit lower. So at the 38.2% here, it's kind of close to the 38.2%, but it's still, there is still room for it to you know, say drop to here, to the 38.2% and make an uglier fourth wave and then move up. But if it comes down into the 50-60% retracement level, let's just say that it goes up here and drops here, well, then we know where we are at that point. And like I said, Bitcoin and all that have made 5 waves down here. Could we get 5 waves out of this here? I could do it, but you'd probably start throwing stuff at me again, so I'm not going to go there with it. But anyway, you kind of get the message a little bit here. It's not like you're missing out on anything here, by the way, at this stage. You're not missing anything, so it's okay not to know. If you're very confident on something, well, then that's the time to make money. If you're not confident, don't be habitual and start pushing buttons on these things. Okay, so over to the Russell here, and we've had this one here for a while as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the same sort of deal here. So we've got this A, B, and C wave here. I haven't looked at this internally yet, but I can see we've got the third wave. We could have this as a fourth and fifth. I just don't know how this plays out in here. I don't know if that's 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5. I don't know if we've got one more little move down here before this plays out. But yeah, it's not going to be that great. We want a clear impulse wave on this, and even so, we're not going to get much out of this here as a leading diagonal here, and this can come down here further as well, so be mindful of that. So nothing really cooking in any of the markets actually. So this is the DAX here on the weekly chart, and this is the same as the S&P. So it's taken the top out here. So where the NASDAQ hasn't taken the top out here, this one's taken the top out here. It's left us with 3 waves to the upside here. Do we continue along in our little journey of wave 3 up here for this? All the things that I said about the S&P 500 can be applied here. I'll leave it at that. I think that's the best way to look at it. This is a weekly, so I'll just go to the 20k here and just look at both sort of patterns briefly here. So we can have this as wave 1 here with wave 2 sitting over here, and then we can have this as wave 1 here, and we can have wave 2 sitting over here. That's possible. Okay, just take that as as one version. The other version is that we look at this here as 1 and 2 here and 3 here and 4 here, and then going up for 5 here as a shorter move here, reacting at the 20 here and dropping off sharply in line with the S&P here and coming back. We can see the stochastics here. I've just got them set on normal here, so we should get a lift off here. In this case, we can count 5 waves down. So if we go from 20 to, I just sort of got on the 5 here. I know I've been doing things. So yeah, this is looking at it like this here. In this case here, we'll take a closer look at this, but basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for the A wave and ABC for the B wave, and down, I might have that sort of pushed across there too far, whatever, yada, yada, yada. I'm a bit messy on things. Just your normal bloke. I mean, if I was a European bloke, I'd probably be neat and tidy, but being an Aussie bloke, we tend to be a bit scruffy. So something like this here, So let's just go and investigate this here a little bit. So from here, we can go into 1000, and it becomes a little bit more obvious here. So in this case here, we've got 1 and 2 and 5 waves down here for 3, 4, 5 for 1, and ABC for 2, 3, ABC here for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So it does present down quite nicely as 5 waves. So having this B wave at the 50-60% retracement level is kind of on the cards. So we can look at it as wave 3 and 4 here. We can also look at it as 1 and 2 if it comes down deeper here, okay? And it may come down deeper. Will it go all the way up here? I don't know. But it seems a little bit small at the moment compared to this here. So in terms of the perspective, look and feel and all that of it, one would think that we would be pushing up here a little bit, coming up here, testing a little bit. If we got a classic trading levels pattern on top of group 1 here, or then we'd go long at that point, you know, because that means that this wave 4 is already in here, and we would need to look at this a little bit differently here in some sort of A wave here, B wave here, and C wave here. I know that's a bit weird, but because there's a case for 5 waves down here, I raised the caution of ringing the B for the bell at that point, and we could come down lower for either of these here. So, you know, any long trade would be at risk at that point above the 61.8% on top of group 1 of 19 here with a classic trading levels pattern would be at the point you could go in at that point. You could go in now and put a stop under, you know, under this level here of the one. Don't put stops on whole numbers like 100 or 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. These whole numbers, do not put stops on those. So you need to be under them, and don't put them at 9 either, or 8, because 8's the third strongest number. So you kind of need to be under the 8. I go for 6, but 7 works at times depending how close you want to get to the market. And besides that, then you need to be under 5, and I don't go to 4 in case you get sort of gypped out there. 3, so 2. So most of my long trades would have number 2 at the end of them, or 6. Anyway, that's the DAX. It's all reasonably straightforward. The FTSE, I'll just be straight up, I have no friggin' idea about what's happening here. I can see that I've got wave 3 and wave 4 here. This is quite standard, and this is standard in terms of the DAX has got the exact same pattern here. If I was running the DAX here, this is just not going to catch up in time, you know. This would be the positive move for it here. And who knows, it might just pop here and catch up, you know. But at the same time, I just can't see it sort of happening, you know. So I'm a little bit lost on this one. And because I'm better off saying I'm lost and I don't understand it, because that way nobody will get any sort of damage. One of the things that I have mentioned, if you get a classic trading levels pattern on top of the number 3 here, then we could go long from there, but it keeps sort of popping up there. But you know, you could trade long on any of those sort of highs up here, starting from this top to that top, this top, that top, and that top. So you could take the break of that top there, but I'd be careful about that as well, because if I have got the rest of the market right, we could end up just going up here and then coming back down here for that. Do you know what I mean? This is the kind of pattern that we can be looking at, or we could even just go a little bit higher here and then come down. So, you know, this is what the general market is doing, this sort of thing. So I don't think this is the best you know, I've said it all the way through here since this move here. It's just been, you know, you could force it to be impulsive, but it counts better as being a corrective move. So, you know, we could look at this here as 1 and 2 in here as well, as 1 and 2 in here, and look at it as a more bearish case here. You know, this would be probably the, you know, if I took it at face value, I'd be looking at it this way, because these moves up here are corrective. I mean, you could get an impulse wave out of that, but, you know, so that, you know, having this as 1 and 2, 1, 2, and coming down for this 4th wave over here, bring this down further, you know, that's on the cards too. So I don't know. So I'm just going to say that I don't know. And the only thing that I could suggest is that if this becomes a tested support here on the 3, then we could look at going for that. I mean, this does count quite nicely as a 5-wave structure. So I could put this here. Actually, this would be better as an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave up here. I don't know. I'm just going to leave it for the time being, and I'm not even going to bother with the intraday. So we come over to the Australian market, and with the Australian market, we can do the same thing again as well. We've had it as 1 and 2, and I'll move this here, and we're looking for 1 and 2 here, and, you know, going up for wave 3 at that point. So there's that possibility. We need to understand this little move here. It's not this little move's not behaving like a wave 2. It's behaving more like a wave 4. So to move this out the way, to put this here as 1 and move this here and put it as wave 2 here, and remove this here and put this as wave 3 here, and remove this here and put this as wave 4 here, or perhaps it gets a little bit more complicated. We'll go and have a look at that in a moment. Having one more move up here, this wave 5 here needs to be shorter than than this one here because the extension's in this one. So if that's the case, then we'll put wave 1 at the top here and have this as an ABC pattern over here, you know. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over here, and then the ABC pattern. And in a way, this would also be, you know, this is like the arrival here, the reaction, the first high above the level, and then the ABC pattern here. So yeah, so there's two ways to look at this. We'll put wave 2 back, and we'll put this wave 1 over here, and all this sort of stuff. But they're the two patterns that we're working with at the moment. So if I go to 1000 here and just have a bit of a look in here for this. So what I can't get my head around here is that I know we've got 5 waves down from the top here, and then we've got this little well, it's not even an ABC pattern here because this doesn't give me 5 waves up here. So it's quite complicated in here. It's corrective in here. But this is the low. So just to keep it sort of simplify at the best, this is the low here. And then we've got this, you know, I could put wave 1 over here, by the way, because this does count as 5 waves here. I can go wave 1. I'll remove this here, and we can put an A wave here, a B wave up here, and a C wave here for wave 2 here. We could do that here, and then we could look at this here being like wave 1 to the upside here. So once again, if we were going to go long, this 8-2 here, and then we've got 10, 20, and 30 here, you could go long above the top here. But there's a lot of risk in all of that as well. So getting a tested support on 82.30 would sever any pull back from the 8200 at that point in time. So all of this down here doesn't count very well as a wave 2. It's counting better as a wave 4 because it's complicated, you know, that's the thing. So there's a whole variation in here of different ways to count all of this. Okay, so all I can say is that if you get the next high, I say go long above here, but it's best to wait for a fresh high. Once you got your fresh high here, then you can go long at that point with it. How far you get is another question. So it'll depend, because a lot of the other markets that we just looked at, like the S&P coming down, you could count the S&P corrective, but then you start looking at some of the other markets where it's like 5 waves down. So you have to be careful to the upside here. This would be the stopping point here. That would be the 61.8% at the midpoint here, so halfway between 200 and 300. The 50 here, 5 being the second strongest number, is where you're going to run into problems. So if I was day trading this, I would look for a classic trading level pattern on top of 30, get to 50 and get out. And then I would wait to see if I got a setup here. So I'd need a classic trading levels pattern here before I made another move in here, you know. So I'd go, you know, across the top here to go long, and then I'll drop it down to here, and then I'd go from that point. So you need to duck and dive and weave here, and, you know, don't get burnt here, and trade less when you're in space like this. Trade less. Now, obviously, there's some really good support in here, you know, and we do have this from this low here. We do have this as the impulse wave coming up here, and as an A and a B and a C, it works, and as wave 1 here, it works, and we could put this wave 2 over here. You know, so it can be like that, and we could put wave 4 over here because this is, you know, all of this is quite messy here, and you could wingle it that particular way here. So yeah, there's a variety of ways to look at all of this here. I don't know which is the best way, but if I had to trade, I would wait for that number there to become the tested support, and then I'd trade to the 5. I'd get out, wait to see here if it's going to fail at this point, because that would be the wave B up here, or do I get a classic trading levels pattern and I can continue at that point. Okay, I'll leave it all at that. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.